Welcome to this short introductory video to Sheets2GCal. This is a Sheets add-on for fast event creation, basically managing events in Google Calendar from spreadsheets. So the first thing you're going to want to do is install the add-on for Google Sheets. There'll be a link in the description. I've obviously already installed that. And if you want to import events, you can visit my website and create a free membership. So you just have to sign in with your Google account. That takes a couple of seconds. And once you're ready, you'll find yourself in Google Sheets, and under extensions, you'll see Sheets2GCal. So I'm going to go through the basic functionality, starting with import calendar to sheet. So the first thing we need to do is import a calendar and link the sheet to Google Calendar. So that's done automatically here by clicking Clear Sheet and Import Calendar. So I'm going to select my calendar. I'm going to clear the sheet. You might have to check that your time zone is the same in the spreadsheet as it is in Google Calendar. I've already done that. And yes, I'm going to confirm I want to empty this sheet. And there's all my events. Now, I selected all events, so repeat events are a single row. That's important to note. I'm going to rename that sheet so I know that it's my calendar. And I'm now ready to edit events here and push the changes back to Google Calendar, and I can also pull changes from Google Calendar into this sheet. So I'm going to show you all of that. I'm going to start, however, just by creating a new event to show you how that works. So as soon as I type new event and select a date, 20th of September, that's all we need to create an all-day event. I could make it last several days. I could add a time if I want. I could specify that it repeats weekly or daily or whatever. You can fill in any of this information. You can add guests by putting in a list of email addresses separated by commas. And you can specify the color. If you want to add a meet, let's just do that. I can type any text in there. And when the event is created, that will be replaced with the meet ID. So let's go and do that now we've done import calendar to sheet. Let's go to the next option, which is export sheet to calendar. So when I click here that I want to update the calendar, the add-on is going to go through and check all of these update and delete columns, and it's going to update or create the events which are checked in the update column, and it'll delete events that are checked in the delete column. So let's delete one, create one, and let's edit one too. So edited. As you can see, when you edit a row, that will automatically check that box. So I'm going to keep, let's delete the row for now, the row data, and you've got options here for sending notifications to guests if you added a list of email addresses, as I mentioned earlier. And let's just update my calendar. So that should delete row 81, or the event for row 81 and the row, and it's going to edit these two events either side. And there we go, we've got one event created, one event updated, and one event deleted. So new event was the event I created here. So there's our meet ID. I could just click there and open that meet if I wanted to. This is the link to the event, so I can conveniently just click on that link and it's going to open the event. There's my new event with a meet, and there's the ID if I wanted to copy that meet ID to send it to someone, for example. This event, new event, I typed edited, and if we look at it in Google Calendar, it was this one. This now says new event edited. So that was edited. And of course, 81 was completely deleted. If I had enabled this option here, that would have kept all the row data, including formulas, except for the link and the hidden event ID. Now, event ID is very important because that is what links each row with an event in the calendar. So usually you would keep that hidden unless you know what you're doing. So I'm going to hide that column again. So that's export sheet to calendar. Now, moving through the menu, the next one's very easy to understand. Quick import does exactly the same as import calendar to sheet using the options that you've previously used in that sidebar. Quick export will do exactly the same for export sheet. So that will use the options, the guest notification options, whether to keep rows when you delete them, etc. Same options. But you can use this without opening the sidebar. And quick export will do an export followed by an import. So you have to be careful if you're editing events in Google Calendar and the sheet that you don't overwrite them. For example, if I edited Google Calendar and edited the sheet, and then did, in fact, even if I didn't edit the sheet, if I edit an event in Google Calendar and do a quick export import, the older sheet data will overwrite my new calendar data. So do be careful, the order is important here. You might want to do it manually. But once you've got a workflow up and running, you should know what you can do safely and not. Import all sheets does basically import calendar for all the sheets in this spreadsheet. So I've only got one sheet in this spreadsheet for now. I'm going to create another in a second. But that will run import with your preferred options on every sheet that has been linked to the calendar. And the same for export all sheets. That will export according to which buttons have been checked, the deletes and the updates. So let's just create another one, another sheet here. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it test. And this time I'm going to import another calendar. This one's called test data. There it is. And again, I'm going to import all events. Confirm. And here we've got 98 events imported. So let me just order that, sort that from top to bottom. So I've got the most recent events on top now. So again, I can edit this calendar and I can switch. You'll see here we're on the test data calendar. If I click on this sheet in a second or two, that will change and update to tell me that I'm using my calendar in this sheet. So you can have many sheets in a single document. This is a spreadsheet document, which I should have called video demo, but that doesn't matter. So this is a spreadsheet which contains multiple sheets, and each sheet is linked to a Google Calendar, or not. I could have other sheets that do other things, that doesn't matter. So the next step that I'm going to show you is a partial import. So if I go back to my new sheet here, instead of all events, I'm going to do my calendar, and I'm going to pick a start date. Let's pick in August, and I'm going to go through to the end of September, and I'm going to clear sheet and import calendar. So this will import individual occurrences of my events between the 1st of August and the 28th of September. So this is just to give you an idea of how this can all be used. So for instance, here I've got live music on the 17th of September. Let's highlight that. If I go back to my calendar, I can see that I've got a live music event here on the 27th of August. And there's only one. I've only got one live music event in this calendar. So let me just close that and show you the event on the calendar. So here we go, live music. So that says 27th of August, which is the initial occurrence of this repeat. If I move to September, I've got lots of occurrences of this because it's happening every Sunday here. And if I go to my new sheet, which I should rename partial, here, if I sort these by title, I can see that I've actually got 5 live music events: 27th of August, 3rd of September, 10th of September, 17th of September, 24th of September. So these correspond to each occurrence of this single row, which is defined as a weekly event. So just to show you how this works, I can, for instance, delete the 10th of September. In fact, no, that is actually, yes, 10th of September. So let's do a quick export to delete that event. So I'm deleting one occurrence of the live music event on the 10th of September. And there it's gone. Now, I've still got this weekly repeat here, so I can't see for now that that event has been deleted. If I update, let's do a quick import. So this is going to import all the changes. But since I only deleted an occurrence of that repeat, as you'll see, there doesn't seem to be any change here. So this is still the original weekly event, even though if we go on the calendar and look at it now, in September, we can see that my 10th of September date was deleted. Now, if I actually go and edit one of these events, live music cancelled, which sadly happens, and I'm only going to edit this event. So this is now an exception to this repeat. So it's still part of the repeat. If I click, it still says weekly on Sunday, but it's what we call an exception to the series. Now, if I go back into my calendar and I do a quick import, you'll see that that's going to actually reflect in the calendar. So here I've now got an exception on the 17th of September. It's called Live Music Cancelled, and I've got a little orange color in the update for the original event just to tell me that that event was edited, but not directly. So as you can see, I've actually got colors in cells that are left over from previous operations. So let's just go and remove those now with reset status colors. So as you can see, this is now the exception to this weekly event. And I did that by editing this calendar here, which is a partial download of the occurrences in September. So that's just a quick demonstration of how you can use partial downloads. Let's just delete that one for now because I'm not going to use it again. So we don't need that anymore. So I'm going to move through the menus, just keep going down. We've done quick import, quick export, import all sheets, export all sheets. Now, check sheet versus calendar. This is important, especially if you use formulas in your sheets, because this actually will detect any differences between the sheet and the calendar. So if you haven't edited anything since you did a full import, that will not flag any events for update or delete or anything. So let's just run that now. So this is checking everything in the sheet against the calendar. Now all it's going to do is flag events that need to be flagged either to delete and update. So it's actually detected quite a few differences. Now this can happen for lots of reasons. I'm not quite sure why it detected quite so many here since my last import, since I didn't edit all of these, but I must have done something. Anyway, so if I can deselect all of those, but let's just push the changes anyway. So quick export. That shouldn't change anything visible. It must have detected probably a time zone difference in the display of the time zone in the sheet. So that'll just go through now. Now, why this is an important option is because if you're using automatic import and export, there's no way for the add-on to know whether you want events to be updated or deleted or whatever. This is happening automatically, and people use formulas to change the data in certain cells. So this option is to be used primarily for when you're using an automatic import-export, which actually we'll go to. Let's open that anyway now. Okay, so it's gone through and it's updated all these events which probably didn't need to be updated. I'll have to check. I think it's probably something to do. This is an old calendar, so there might have been some issues with it. Anyway, so here I've now opened up the automatic import-export, and just to show you here that we've got a sync order. So I can choose to either import then export, so that's importing the calendar to the sheet and then exporting changes from the sheet to the calendar, or I can export changes from the sheet to the calendar and import any changes from the calendar to the sheet, or you can only export or only import, depending on what you need to do with the sheet and the calendars. So do be careful if you export import in particular. I've written this here, because if you edit the calendar and then use export import for a sheet that's linked to that calendar, of course the data in the sheet will overwrite the calendar data and then import back the wrong data. So do be careful, depending on whether you're editing sheets or calendars or both, that you make sure you know what you're editing and which order you've selected here. So for now, I'm going to close that for now and just do an import manually and just check we've got 0 events now being imported. So let's just reset status colors again. And I'm going to import updates and new events. Now, of course, it did update the calendar, so which can create new updates that then have to be synced back into the sheet. But that usually only happens if you edit, for instance, a repeat rule. Let's just see what it says. And while it's doing that, I'm just going to go down and have a look. Okay, let's import some changes while we're here. Let's go to the calendar. So we're on the test data sheet. So this is let's hide that calendar, show the test data calendar, and new event edited. I'm going to edit that now to new event edited again. Save that. Okay, so that was 0 events updated. Now I'm going to run that again, and we should have the edit that I just made. And of course I can't remember where it was. It was in new event edited on the 11th of September. So 11th of September is here, new event edited. So I'm just going to import that, and you can watch it go green. Just to show you that the changes, there we go, new event edited again. So that's pulled in one update from the calendar. So this is just to give you an idea of how export and import work. Let's just go back quickly to automatic import export. So I talked about the sync order. This can only happen once a day. This is a restriction that Google has in place. So using this 24-hour clock, I could set that, for instance, to 2 in the morning. So for this sheet, I'm going to set, for example, an import export. So that's the usual, that's the default option, because import will only import new changes to Google Calendar. So it won't overwrite data that's important in the sheet, hopefully, unless you got things wrong. It will import changes from the calendar to the sheet only, and then it'll export everything from the sheet to the calendar that needs updating in the calendar. So that's the best way to avoid losing any edits that you may have made in one or the other. Again, I said you can set this to export import or just export if you're using a sheet to manage basically the calendar without touching the calendar, or some people use it the other way around. They use the calendar and they just want it to import once a day, once a night into the spreadsheet for other users. So you can set that again using these options. Set the time that it happens, click Start, and that will add this sheet to the list. So it says import, export automatically, test. Now if I switch to my calendar, I could opt, for instance, for this one, I would just want to do an export, for instance. Now it has to be at the same time. You're only allowed one per day. I could change it and set it to 3 just for fun. So I'm going to export this one at 3 in the morning, and the test was already done for 2 in the morning, but that'll be updated now to 3. So let's just do Start. And this will tell me here that we're now automatically syncing my calendar and test. And that's going to happen at 3 in the morning. If I switch back to test now, that will remind me that this sheet is set to import export, and of course it's been updated to 3 AM because we're only allowed one per day for all the sheets. And if you want to stop all of that syncing, then just click Stop All Import Export, and that will remove all of them. So it's important to note that this will not run at exactly 3 AM. It will run maybe at 3 AM, maybe at 4 AM, it might even run at 4:15. Google doesn't promise exactly what time the sync happens, or it's a trigger technically. They don't guarantee the time. But this allows you to set it up so that when you come in the morning or whatever, your sheet or your calendar has been updated automatically. And finally, we've got configure sheet. So this would usually be used if you, for instance, just wanted to set up a new sheet and I wanted to link it, for instance, to a calendar without importing any events. So I could select this, I can link this sheet to any calendar I want. It's going to set up the columns for me and all the data, but it's not going to import any events. I'm just ready to create new events. So I can do my new event. I can set my start time, start date, set it at 9 AM. If I click properly, 9 AM, let's do 9 AM. And let's finish at 11 AM. 11 AM. Sorry about that. Let's set it weekly. I'll call it my new description, location, Earth, and there we go. So if I export that, obviously if I import, it's going to import events on this calendar, but that's not what we did this for. We're just going to do a quick export, and that will just create that event for me on the calendar. So that's the quickest way to get up and running with a new blank sheet that is designed for creating new events. So there it is, I've got the link, and if I wanted to, I could click that and open the calendar. So again, if I go back now to my automatic import export, just to show you, sheet 16 will not be on it. In fact, I stopped them all anyway, so none of them are there anymore. So let's forget that, and I'm going to finish here with my account, obviously, which checks your account on my website and tells you what kind of subscription you have. So this is a monthly personal subscription. That means I can import as many events as I like and edit, delete, do basically everything, only limited by Google's quota. And they do have a quota on the number of events that you can create, delete, and in particular the number of guests that you can invite. If you've got a workspace account, the limits are higher. But you will need at least a free account on Sheets2GCal.com if you want to import up to 5,000 events. per day, I think. You can do that with just a free account, which is very easily created. And last of all, there's a little help here. This is the actual extension help menu. This is the Sheets2GCal help menu, which just contains a lot of the information I've just told you about creating accounts, how sheets are linked to calendars, what you can do, the options, and you've got a helpful link here that will take you to that help page on the website. That will take you here, which describes in more detail most of what I've been talking about. There's a video that explains how to set up and install the add-on to start with. And I think that's just about it. So please head over to the Workspace Marketplace and install Sheets2GCal. Try it out for free. If you like it, please buy a subscription to support my software. There's also GCalToolkit. As a Google Calendar product expert, I have several tools that are available. They're not endorsed by Google, of course, in any way, shape or form, but I've been doing this a long time, and I think they're good tools for Google Calendar. A lot of people seem to like them and use them. As you can see, we've got 642,000 downloads for Sheets2GCal. And while I'm here, I'll just quickly go to GCalToolkit.com just to show you the desktop software. So this is basically a very powerful editing tool for Windows and Mac OS. It is designed for power users who need to edit events, sort events, filter, delete, do all kinds of power options basically with Google Calendar. So people can delete, as you can see, thousands, even 10,000 of events very quickly and easily. You're not limited with this software by the restrictions that Google Sheets or Google add-ons impose. You're only limited by the Google Calendar API quotas, which are higher. So anyway, I hope that was a useful introduction, and please get in touch with me on my website if you need any more information or any help about Sheets2GCal and how you can use it to improve your productivity. Thank you for listening, and I'll hope to speak to you soon.